There's something about the way you walk into a room now, and even the people who once tried to break you. They can feel it. They don't understand it. They don't have a name for it. But something inside them is screaming, and they wish with everything in them that you were still angry, because what you became, oh, chosen one, what you became is something they were never prepared for. Listen carefully, because this message is not for the casual listener. This is not a video. This is a mirror held up to your soul by something far greater than any algorithm, any trend, any person, any platform. This is your confirmation. You were never ordinary. And the person you are becoming, the person you have already begun to become, terrifies the very people who thought they had you figured out. They studied your reactions. They memorized your breaking points. They knew exactly which words would make you explode, which memories would make you spiral, which fears would make you crumble. They had a whole playbook built around your pain, and they used it for years. They laughed about it. They celebrated it. They thought they had discovered a permanent flaw in you, a weakness that would never heal, a wound that would never close. But God had a different plan. And what God did to you while they were busy mocking you, what He quietly built inside your chest, inside your mind, inside the very way you breathe now, has left them shaking. There is a reason you are hearing this today. There is a reason these words feel like they are reaching into your ribs and squeezing something you didn't even know was still alive. It is because you have been walking through a fire that nobody saw. You have been carrying a weight that nobody acknowledged. And for a long, long time, you were bleeding in silence, praying in silence, breaking in silence, hoping that one day, just one day, the pain would finally start to make sense. And now it is making sense. You may have noticed something strange happening lately. You may have noticed that the things that used to destroy you, they don't even graze you anymore. You may have noticed that the people who used to push you to your limits now look at you with a kind of confusion in their eyes, a kind of unease, a kind of quiet fear. You may have noticed that you no longer feel the urge to defend yourself the way you used to. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself. You no longer feel that burning, desperate need to be understood by people who were never trying to understand you in the first place. And that shift, chosen one, that shift is not normal. That shift is not human. That shift is spiritual. That shift is what happens when God removes something from your life that was never supposed to be there in the first place, and replaces it with something that no enemy can touch, no manipulation can reach, and no betrayal can undo. You were never meant to live in survival mode forever. You were never meant to flinch every time someone raised their voice. You were never meant to replay every conversation, every cold look, every silent treatment, every lie for the rest of your life. That was not your destiny. That was a season. And the season has changed. Even in your hardest moments, even when you were lying on the floor at 3 a.m. with tears soaking into your pillow, even when you were sitting in your car screaming at God, asking Him why He allowed this, why He allowed them, why He let them treat you like that, why He let them walk away without consequences, why He let them act like you were the problem when you were the only one still trying. Even in those moments, God was working. God was forging something inside you that the world will never understand. He was taking every lie they spoke over you, every name they called you, every door they slammed in your face, every night they left you alone, every time they made you feel like you were too much and not enough at the same time. He was taking all of it, and He was turning it into armor. Type yes if this speaks to your spirit. Type yes if you can feel the weight of what I just said. Because what I am about to tell you next is going to unlock something deep inside you that has been locked for years. They don't hate you because of what you did. They don't hate you because of what you said. They don't hate you because of a mistake, or a season, or a struggle. They hate you, or rather, they fear you because of what you survived. And more importantly, they fear what you became on the other side of surviving. You see, most people, when they go through what you went through, they become bitter. They become cold. They become hard. They become someone who is easy to write off, easy to dismiss, easy to predict. But you did something almost unnatural. You became soft. You became still. You became kind in a way that feels almost unsettling to the people who treated you with cruelty. You became generous toward the people who were stingy with their love for you. You became patient with the people who were impatient with your healing. You became prayerful where you used to be reactive. You became reflective where you used to be explosive. And this, chosen one, this is the part that makes them wish you were still angry. Because angry you, they understood. Angry you, they could manage. Angry you, they could trigger. Angry you, they could point at and say, "See, I told you they were unstable. I told you they were too emotional. I told you they were the problem." Angry you was the version of you that kept them comfortable in their own dysfunction. Angry you confirmed every lie they told themselves about you. Angry you gave them permission to keep mistreating you without ever having to look at their own reflection. But this new you, this quiet, watchful, deeply rooted you, this you that no longer reacts, no longer explodes, no longer gives them the satisfaction of seeing you break. This you is something they have absolutely no strategy for. You have become, in a very real and very spiritual sense, impossible to manipulate. And there is nothing more terrifying to a manipulator than a person who has stopped being manipulable. There is nothing more threatening to a controller than a soul that has slipped out of their grip without them even noticing. And there is nothing more painful to a person who used to feed off your pain than watching you stand in a room full of triggers and not even flinch. You may have noticed that they have been acting strange lately. You may have noticed that they are reaching out, testing you, poking at the old wounds, dropping little remarks, watching your face carefully for any sign that the old you is still in there. They are not doing this because they miss you. They are not doing this because they suddenly value you. They are doing this because they are looking for the old you. They are looking for proof that the transformation was not real. They are searching for evidence that you are still broken, still fragile, still one comment away from collapse. And every time they search and they find nothing but peace, it drives them deeper into a kind of spiritual confusion that they will never admit out loud. Listen carefully, chosen one, because this is where it gets deeper. This is where the spiritual layer of what is happening to you begins to reveal itself. The reason they wish you were angry is because your anger used to be a doorway for them into your spirit. Your anger was an open gate. Your anger was a place where they could plant seeds of shame, seeds of guilt, seeds of self-doubt. Your anger was the crack in the wall, and they knew exactly how to slip through it. But God has closed that gate. God has sealed that crack. God has rebuilt the wall in you with materials that no human hands can break through. And now, every time they try to use the old keys, the old tactics, the old manipulations, the old words, they stand at the gate jiggling a key that no longer fits. And that is making them furious, not at you, at themselves, at the part of themselves that knew deep down that they needed your pain more than they ever needed your presence. And now that the pain is gone, they have nothing to hold on to. They have nothing to control. They have nothing to study. They have nothing to weaponize. All they have is a person who used to be easy to break, standing in front of them, looking at them with eyes that have seen too much to be fooled again. And those eyes, Those eyes that once pleaded for their love, for their approval, for their mercy. Those eyes are now the most dangerous thing in the room, because now those eyes reflect something back at them that they have been running from their entire lives. Those eyes reflect truth. Those eyes reflect consequence. Those eyes reflect the version of themselves that they have worked so hard to keep buried. And chosen one, that is why they cannot look at you anymore. That is why they flinch when you say their name. That is why they are suddenly busy, suddenly distracted, suddenly unavailable. They are not avoiding you. They are avoiding what you have become, because what you have become is a mirror. And mirrors are merciless to people who have built their entire identity around pretending. Type 777 if you trust God's timing. Type 777 if you can feel the truth of this in your bones. Because what is about to be revealed to you is something that most people live their entire lives without ever understanding. The transformation that you have been going through was not random. The silence you have been walking through was not punishment. The isolation you have been feeling was not a sign that you were forgotten. It was a sign that you were being prepared. God has been preparing you for something. He has been quietly, gently, sometimes painfully, removing from your life every person, every habit, every thought pattern, every coping mechanism, every version of yourself that was not aligned with the person He is calling you to become. And that process, by nature, is lonely. That process, by nature, feels like loss. That process, by nature, makes you feel like you are being punished, when in reality you are being refined. And refinement is not comfortable. Refinement feels like fire. Refinement feels like the ground being ripped out from under you. Refinement feels like crying in places where no one can see you, and smiling in places where everyone is watching. But refinement produces something that no shortcut, no manipulation, no human shortcut can ever produce. It produces spiritual weight. It produces unshakable identity. It produces the kind of person that rooms rearrange themselves around. The kind of person that entire atmospheres shift to accommodate. The kind of person that people who used to be loud around you are now quiet around. The kind of person that the very people who tried to break you are now quietly studying from a distance, trying to figure out what happened to you, trying to understand how you became this. And the answer, chosen one, the answer that they will never hear from your mouth, the answer that they will never be able to replicate, the answer that will haunt them in the quiet hours of the night for the rest of their lives, is simple. The answer is God. The answer is prayer. The answer is every single night that you got on your knees when no one was watching and gave God the pieces of yourself that they broke. The answer is every single morning that you got back up when no one was applauding. The answer is every single time you chose forgiveness when bitterness would have been easier. The answer is every single time you chose silence when revenge would have been satisfying. The answer is every single time you chose to believe that there was still something good waiting for you on the other side of the pain. That, chosen one, is why they wish you were still angry. Because the version of you that was angry was a person they could compete with. The version of you that was angry was a person they could outlast, outmaneuver, out-trigger. The version of you that was angry was a person living in the same broken world they were living in, playing by the same broken rules. But this version of you, this version plays by a completely different rule book. This version is not competing with them. This version is not trying to win. This version has been completely, irreversibly rewritten by something that exists outside of this world. And that is something they cannot fight. They cannot argue with it. They cannot outsmart it. They cannot guilt it into coming back. They cannot manipulate it into reverting. The only thing they can do is watch. and watching is destroying them. You see, there is a strange kind of torture that happens to a person who was used to being the one in control, the one with the power, the one who held the keys, when they realize that the person they once controlled has become someone who is no longer reachable through the old doors. They are used to instant access. They are used to immediate reactions. They are used to the comfort of knowing that a certain look, a certain phrase, a certain silence would do exactly what it was designed to do. And now they are standing outside, knocking on doors that have been removed from their hinges. And that is driving them into a kind of internal chaos that they will never, ever confess to you. You may have noticed that some of them have become desperate. You may have noticed that some of them are starting to show up in your life again in small, almost invisible ways. Maybe a random message, maybe a sudden question about how you are doing, maybe an old mutual friend reaching out on their behalf. Maybe even the silent ones, the ones who walked away without an explanation, the ones who treated your absence like it was a relief, have started appearing in your peripheral vision, hovering at the edge of your life, not quite close enough to reconnect, but not far enough to truly let go. And this, chosen one, is not a coincidence. This is what happens when a person who was once certain that you could not survive without them finally realizes that you are not just surviving, you are thriving. And the thriving is what is breaking them, because thriving was never supposed to be part of the story they wrote for you. Thriving was never in the script. In the script they wrote for you, you were supposed to stay small. You were supposed to stay quiet. You were supposed to keep calling, keep chasing, keep trying, keep proving yourself, keep earning a love that was never really being offered. In the script they wrote for you, you were supposed to be the lesson they told other people about. The cautionary tale. The one they pointed to when they wanted to feel better about their own choices. See what happens when you don't listen to me. See what happens when you choose that path. See how they ended up. That was the script. But God tore that script in half. And now they are standing in the middle of a story that they cannot control, watching a character they thought they had figured out become someone that even the writer of the original story did not anticipate. And that chosen one is divine authorship. That is what it feels like when God takes over the pen. You may have noticed that the people who used to make you cry cannot even make you uncomfortable anymore. You may have noticed that the rooms they are in feel different to you now. You may have noticed that the energy they used to carry, the heavy, controlling, suffocating energy, no longer has the same effect on you when you walk in. And this is not because they have changed. They have not changed. They are exactly the same. But you have. And because you have changed, the dynamic has changed. The power has shifted. The gravity has flipped. And the strange thing about gravity flipping is that the person who used to pull everyone into their orbit suddenly finds themselves floating, untethered, irrelevant, watching the people they once commanded quietly orbiting a different center now. And that center, chosen one, is you. You have become a center, not because you tried to be, not because you performed for it, not because you manipulated your way into it, but because God made you one. And when God makes you a center, no human hand can move you off that axis. No criticism can shift you. No betrayal can knock you loose. No rejection can convince you that you are anything less than what God has positioned you to be. And that is why the people who used to feel comfortable around you are now uncomfortable around you. Not because you are doing anything wrong, not because you are being loud or proud or aggressive, but because your peace is exposing their chaos. Your clarity is exposing their confusion. Your stillness is exposing their restlessness. Your healing is exposing their wounds. And people who are not ready to look at their own wounds will always feel threatened by the people who are. Type Amen if you feel chosen. Type Amen if you can feel the spiritual weight of what is happening inside you right now. Because what I am about to say next will mark you. It will seal something inside you that no enemy will ever be able to undo. The fact that they wish you were angry is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that something is profoundly, irreversibly right with you. The fact that they wish you were angry is a confession. It is an unconscious confession that the version of you they could control no longer exists. It is an admission, even if they will never speak it out loud, that the relationship between you and them has changed at a level they do not have the vocabulary to describe. They are not wishing you were angry because anger is what they want. They are wishing you were angry because anger is what they know. Anger is the language they were built to understand. Anger is the terrain they were built to navigate. And now suddenly, the entire landscape has changed, and they are standing in a country they do not recognize, holding a map that no longer works, trying to find a version of you that no longer exists. And that, chosen one, is what it feels like to be on the other side of a God-given transformation. It is disorienting to the people who knew the old you. It is destabilizing to the systems that were built around the old you. It is threatening to the relationships that were formed on the foundation of the old you. And that is the cost of becoming. Becoming is never free. Becoming always requires something. Becoming always demands that you leave something behind, and the leaving is what causes the noise. The noise is not a sign that you are doing it wrong. The noise is a sign that you are doing it right. The noise is the sound of a soul outgrowing its container, and the container is screaming because it does not want to be outgrown. But you are not here to keep the container comfortable. You are not here to keep the people who were comfortable in the old version of you comfortable in the new one. You are not here to shrink yourself so that other people can feel safe. You are here to become. And becoming is the most God-honoring, soul-fulfilling, destiny-aligning thing you will ever do with your life. You were not put on this earth to be easy to understand. You were not put on this earth to be easy to predict. You were not put on this earth to fit neatly into the small, tidy categories that people have built in their minds for you. You were put on this earth to become a mystery to the people who thought they had you figured out. You were put on this earth to grow in ways that leave the people who used to feel superior to you quietly wondering what they missed. You were put on this earth to develop a depth of character that makes the surface-level people in your life feel like they are standing next to an ocean they never knew existed. And the people who recognize that depth will rise to meet you. And the people who cannot recognize it will fall away. And both of those things are part of the process. Both of those things are evidence of the transformation. Both of those things are proof that you are not the same person you were a year ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. And the person you are becoming is going to leave a trail of people in your life who are going to be forced to confront a question they have been avoiding their entire lives. That question is simple. The question is, who am I when the person I used to control is no longer controllable? And most of them will fail that question. Most of them will choose the lie. Most of them will choose denial. Most of them will choose to walk away rather than face the mirror that you have become. And that is their journey. That is not your burden to carry. Your burden, chosen one, is to keep becoming, to keep healing, to keep growing, to keep praying, to keep trusting, to keep showing up as the person God is shaping you into, even when the people around you cannot keep up. Because the truth is, you were never meant to wait for the world to be ready for you. You were meant to become ready for the world that God is building around you. And that world is already forming. That world is already taking shape. That world is already beginning to reflect the new you back to you in ways you cannot yet fully see. You are going to start noticing doors opening that were never open before. You are going to start noticing opportunities appearing out of nowhere. You are going to start noticing that the right people are beginning to show up at the right time, saying the right things, offering the right invitations, extending the right hands. And you are going to be tempted to question it. You are going to be tempted to wonder if you deserve it. You are going to be tempted to look over your shoulder at the life you used to have and feel a pull toward the familiar, even though the familiar was the thing that was slowly killing you. And in those moments, chosen one, in those moments, I need you to remember what you are hearing right now. I need you to remember that the people who wish you were angry are not wishing that for your sake. They are wishing that for theirs. They are wishing that because the new you is inconvenient to their narrative. The new you disrupts the story they tell about themselves. The new you makes it harder for them to pretend that what they did to you did not change you. And the fact that it did not change you in the way they expected is the part that they cannot stand. Because if you are still standing, if you are still soft, if you are still kind, if you are still full of light, then what they did to you did not win. And if what they did to you did not win, then they have to live with the truth of what they did. And that truth, chosen one, is heavier than anything you have ever carried. You carried their pain. They are now carrying their own. And that is divine justice. That is not revenge. That is not karma. That is simply the natural consequence of a soul that has been entrusted to God and an enemy that has been left to itself. You are being protected. You have always been protected, even when it did not feel like it, even when the nights were long and the prayers felt like they were bouncing off the ceiling, even when you were surrounded by people and felt completely alone, even when the people who were supposed to protect you were the ones hurting you. Even when you were crying in the bathroom at work, or in the shower at home, or in your car before you walked into a building where you had to pretend everything was fine. Even in those moments, God was there. God was holding you. God was counting every tear. God was recording every betrayal. God was weaving every broken piece of your story into a tapestry that you will not fully understand until you are standing on the other side of it, looking back at the whole picture, gasping at the beauty of it, weeping at the precision of it, falling to your knees in awe at the fact that the same hands that allowed the breaking were the same hands that were holding you together through it. Nothing about your life has been accidental. Not the pain, not the people, not the timing, not the silence, not the waiting, not the doors that closed, not the doors that opened, not the lessons that broke you, not the lessons that built you. Nothing, not one thing, has been accidental. And the fact that you are hearing this message right now, at this exact moment, in this exact season, on this exact day, is not an accident either. This is a divine interruption. This is a God moment. This is a soul standing in front of a mirror and finally, for the first time in a long time, recognizing the person looking back. And that person, chosen one, is not who they told you that you were. That person is not who they labeled you as. That person is not who they tried to convince you that you would always be. That person is not the failure, or the too much, or the not enough, or the difficult one, or the dramatic one, or the too sensitive one, or the unlovable one, or the one they had to get away from. That person is the one God has been building in secret. That person is the one the enemy has been trying to keep hidden. That person is the one your ancestors prayed for. That person is the one the generations before you dreamed about. That person is the one the universe has been quietly, patiently, lovingly arranging every single detail of your life to bring into existence. And that person is you. Type 1111 to affirm this message. Type 1111 if you are finally ready to stop looking at yourself through their eyes and start looking at yourself through God's. Because what I am about to say next will change the way you see yourself for the rest of your life. The transformation that has taken place inside you is not the end of the story. It is the beginning. Everything that has happened to you up until this point has been preparation. Every betrayal was a lesson. Every abandonment was a redirection. Every closed door was a protection. Every season of loneliness was a season of intimacy with God. Every moment you thought you were being forgotten was a moment you were being formed. And the formation is almost complete. The formation is reaching a point where you are going to start walking into rooms, and the room is going to feel different. Not because you are performing, not because you are pretending, but because the energy you carry is no longer compatible with the energy that used to swallow you. The people who used to drain you are going to start feeling heavy to be around. The conversations that used to hook you are going to start feeling boring. The drama that used to feel exciting is going to start feeling exhausting. The relationships that used to feel like home are going to start feeling like hotels, places you visit but no longer live in. And that is not a loss. That is an upgrade. That is the natural consequence of a soul that has outgrown its environment. And when a soul outgrows its environment, the environment has to change. The environment cannot stay the same. Either the people in it rise with you or they fall away. And both of those outcomes are equally important. Both of those outcomes are part of the plan. You are not losing people. You are being repositioned. You are being moved into a new circle, a new frequency, a new alignment with the people and the opportunities and the assignments that are actually meant for the new you. And the old you, the you that they knew, the you that they were comfortable with, the you that they could trigger, the you that they could manipulate, the you that they could predict, the you that they could dismiss, that you is gone. And they are grieving that version of you, even if they do not know it, even if they would never admit it. They are grieving the loss of the version of you that was easy for them to be around. Because the new you requires something of them. The new you requires them to be honest. The new you requires them to face themselves. The new you requires them to do their own work. And most of them are not ready. Most of them will never be ready. And that is okay. That is not your problem to fix. That is not your assignment. Your assignment is you. Your assignment is your healing. Your assignment is your growth. Your assignment is your becoming. And every single thing that has ever happened to you has been preparing you for the assignment that is about to be released over your life. You are on the edge of something, chosen one. You are standing on the edge of a shift that you cannot yet see the full scope of. But I can feel it. God can feel it. The spiritual realm can feel it. The enemy can feel it. That is why the attacks have increased. That is why the strange dreams have come. That is why the people around you have been acting differently. That is why old wounds have been surfacing. That is why old memories have been replaying. That is why you have been feeling more tired than usual, more emotional than usual, more sensitive to noise, more sensitive to energy, more sensitive to conversations, more sensitive to lies. You are not falling apart. You are being recalibrated. You are being tuned to a new frequency. A frequency that the enemy cannot stand. A frequency that the enemy has been trying to block for years. A frequency that has been getting louder and louder inside you. And the louder it gets, the more the enemy panics. And the more the enemy panics, the more he attacks. And the more he attacks, the more you have to remember that the attack is not a sign of your weakness. The attack is a sign of your strength. The attack is a sign that you are becoming dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. The attack is a sign that the light inside you is bright enough to expose the corners that have been hiding in shadow. And darkness does not fight what it can ignore. Darkness only fights what threatens it. And you, chosen one, are a threat. You have always been a threat. You were a threat the day you were born. You were a threat the moment God breathed purpose into your spirit. You were a threat when you were lying in that hospital bed, when you were sitting in that courtroom, when you were standing in that kitchen wondering how you were going to feed your children, when you were walking out of that relationship with nothing but a bag and a broken heart. You were a threat in all of those moments, because the enemy knew what you did not yet know. The enemy knew that you were going to survive. The enemy knew that one day you were going to wake up and look in the mirror and see what God sees. And the enemy has been working overtime to make sure that day never came. But here you are, hearing this message. Here you are, still standing. Here you are, still breathing. Here you are, still believing. Here you are, still trusting. Here you are, still hoping. Here you are, still becoming. And the becoming is the victory. The becoming is the testimony. The becoming is the proof that the enemy lost. And the enemy is furious. And the people who are aligned with the enemy, whether they know it or not, are feeling that fury radiating out of them in ways they cannot explain. That is why they are acting strange. That is why they are reaching out and then pulling back. That is why they are sending mixed signals. That is why they are hovering at the edge of your life like ghosts. They are not haunting you. They are haunting themselves. They are haunted by the version of you that no longer exists. They are haunted by the choices they made when they thought those choices would not matter. They are haunted by the truth that the person they tried to destroy is now the person they cannot stop thinking about. And that haunting is not going to stop anytime soon. That haunting is going to follow them into every new relationship. That haunting is going to follow them into every new season. That haunting is going to whisper their name in the middle of the night when they are lying next to someone else and wondering why it does not feel like it used to. That haunting is going to remind them of what they lost, not because of what you did, but because of what they did. And you do not have to do anything about it. You do not have to reach out. You do not have to explain. You do not have to offer closure. You do not have to heal them. Your job was never to heal them. Your job was to outgrow them. And you have. And they know it. And that knowing is the worst thing that has ever happened to them. Type 222 if you are ready for breakthrough. Type 222 if you can feel the shift that is coming. Because chosen one, what I am about to say next is going to unlock something in the spiritual realm that has been locked since the day you were born. There is a reason your life has felt like a series of endings. There is a reason every chapter seems to close before the next one begins. There is a reason you have had to start over so many times that you have lost count. There is a reason you have felt like you were always packing up, always leaving, always walking away from something, always being pulled out of something, always being shaken out of something, always being forced into a new season before you were ready. The reason is that God has been extracting you. God has been pulling you out of every situation, every relationship, every environment, every mindset that was not designed for the person you are becoming. And extraction is painful. Extraction feels like loss. Extraction feels like punishment. Extraction feels like God has forgotten about you, like God has abandoned you, like God is punishing you for something you did not even do. But extraction is not punishment. Extraction is preparation. Extraction is the act of God removing you from the wrong soil so that He can plant you in the right one. And you cannot be planted in the right soil while you are still rooted in the wrong one. So He had to pull you out. So He had to shake you loose. So He had to break a few roots that were holding you in places that were never meant to keep you. And the breaking of those roots is what has caused the pain. And the pain is what has caused the growth. And the growth is what has caused the transformation. And the transformation is what is about to launch you into the season that everything before it was preparing you for. That season is coming. That season is closer than you think. That season is not a wish. It is not a hope. It is not a fantasy. That season is a divine appointment that has been on the calendar of God since before you took your first breath. And every single thing that has ever happened to you, every tear, every betrayal, every sleepless night, every unanswered prayer, every door that slammed in your face, every person who walked away, every lie that was spoken over you, every time you were told you would never amount to anything, every time you were told you were too much, every time you were told you were not enough, every time you were told that no one would ever love you, every time you were told that you were going to end up alone, every time you were told that your dreams were stupid, that your faith was naive, that your vision was unrealistic, that your healing was taking too long, that your tears were annoying, that your softness was a weakness, that your sensitivity was a flaw. All of it. Every single word, every single moment, every single wound, every single night, all of it was preparation for the season that is about to arrive. And the season that is about to arrive is going to require every single thing that the pain taught you, the patience that the pain built in you, the discernment that the pain sharpened in you, the compassion that the pain softened in you, the wisdom that the pain wrote into the lines of your face and the depths of your eyes, the strength that the pain forged in your spine, the faith that the pain tested and could not destroy, the love that the pain tried to convince you did not exist, and that you held on to anyway, even when holding onto it felt like holding onto fire. All of it, every bit of it, is about to be needed. Every bit of it is about to be activated. Every bit of it is about to be used. And the people who tried to break you are going to watch you step into the thing that they told you would never happen. And they are going to have to decide in that moment whether they are going to be happy for you or whether they are going to reveal who they really are. And either way, you win. Either way, you are free. Either way, the testimony is complete. Either way, the story ends with you standing in a place that the old you would not recognize, surrounded by people the old you would not understand, living a life the old you would not believe is possible. And that, chosen one, is the kind of plot twist that the enemy never saw coming. That is the kind of story arc that only God can write. That is the kind of redemption that the world says does not exist, and that you are about to prove with your life that it does. You are not broken. You were never broken. You were being built. And the building is almost done. And when the building is finished, the doors are going to open, and you are going to walk through them with a confidence that the world has never seen in you before. And the people who wish you were angry are going to be standing in the shadows, watching, wondering, regretting, grieving, realizing that the opportunity to be part of your story passed them by while they were too busy trying to control it. And they are going to have to live with that, and you are going to have to let them. And that is the hardest part of the whole journey. The hardest part is not the pain. The hardest part is not the betrayal. The hardest part is not the loneliness, or the waiting, or the silence, or the prayers that felt like they were bouncing off the ceiling. The hardest part is allowing people to face the consequences of their own choices without trying to save them from those consequences. The hardest part is watching someone you love drown in their own decisions and choosing not to jump in after them. The hardest part is standing on the shore of your own healing and watching them thrash in the water of their own making and choosing to let them swim. And that, chosen one, is not cruelty. That is not abandonment. That is wisdom. That is the kind of wisdom that only comes from having been the person who was drowning while everyone else stood on the shore. You know what it feels like to be left. You know what it feels like to scream for help and hear nothing back. You know what it feels like to reach out with everything in you and feel nothing reach back. And because you know what that feels like, you are tempted every single day to go back and do for them what no one ever did for you. And God is asking you to resist that temptation. God is asking you to let them learn. God is asking you to let them grow. God is asking you to let them face themselves the same way you had to face yourself, the same way you had to face the truth, the same way you had to sit alone in the dark and decide whether you were going to heal or whether you were going to harden. They have to make that choice, and you cannot make it for them. No matter how much you love them, no matter how much history you share, no matter how much you wish you could reach into their chest and pull out the brokenness the way God pulled it out of yours, you cannot do it. It is not your job. Your job is you. Your job is your healing. Your job is your purpose. Your job is the assignment that God placed inside you the day you were formed in your mother's womb. And that assignment is not going to wait for them to be ready. That assignment is on a divine timeline, and divine timelines do not negotiate with human hesitation. The calling on your life is not going to pause while they figure themselves out. The destiny that is waiting for you is not going to dim itself so that they can feel comfortable. The light inside you is not going to shrink itself so that they can stay in the dark. You are going to keep shining. You are going to keep growing. You are going to keep becoming. And they are going to have to decide with every single day that passes whether they are going to rise to meet the new you or whether they are going to stay behind in the old story. And either choice is theirs to make. And either choice is a consequence of their own making, and you are finally free from the responsibility of managing their choices. That weight is off your shoulders. That weight has been transferred. They are carrying it now, and they are going to carry it for a long time. And you, chosen one, you are going to keep walking. You are going to keep your eyes forward. You are going to keep your heart soft. You are going to keep your faith steady. You are going to keep your prayers consistent. You are going to keep your spirit open. You are going to keep your mind sharp. You are going to keep your tongue gentle. You are going to keep your standards high. You are going to keep your boundaries firm. You are going to keep your joy protected. You are going to keep your peace guarded. You are going to keep your identity rooted in something that no human being can take from you. And you are going to walk into the next season of your life with a kind of quiet, unshakable, God-given confidence that makes the people who used to feel superior to you feel like they are standing next to a mountain they did not know existed. And they are going to feel small. And that is not your problem. That is the consequence of their own choices. And the fact that you can hold that truth with compassion, that you can hold that truth with grace, that you can hold that truth without bitterness, that is the proof that the transformation is real. That is the proof that God did the work. That is the proof that you are not who they said you were. You are who God says you are. And what God says about you is the only thing that has ever mattered. Type yes if you believe that. Type yes if you are done living by their version of your story. Type yes if you are ready to start living by God's version. Because, chosen one, you are at a crossroads. You can feel it. You have been feeling it for weeks, maybe months, maybe longer. You have been feeling the pull between the life you used to live and the life that is waiting for you. You have been feeling the gravitational tug of the familiar trying to pull you back into the old patterns, the old relationships, the old conversations, the old ways of seeing yourself. And you have been feeling at the same time a new pull, a stronger pull, a pull towards something you cannot fully see yet, but something that feels like it was made for you. Something that feels like it was reserved for you. Something that feels like it has been waiting for you to be ready. And you are ready. You may not feel ready. You may not look ready. You may not sound ready. But you are ready. Because readiness is not a feeling. Readiness is a decision. And you have been making that decision quietly, steadily, day after day, for longer than you realize. Every time you chose not to text back. Every time you chose not to engage. Every time you chose not to defend yourself. Every time you chose not to explain. Every time you chose to pray instead of panic. Every time you chose to trust instead of control. Every time you chose to forgive instead of rehearse. Every time you chose to believe that there was something better waiting for you, even when you could not see it. Every single one of those moments was a decision. Every single one of those moments was a step. Every single one of those moments brought you here. To this moment, hearing this message, knowing in a way that is deeper than logic, deeper than reason, deeper than anything the world has ever offered you, that something is shifting, that something is changing, that something is opening, that something is beginning, and the beginning is not loud. The beginning is quiet. The beginning is the moment you stop fighting the version of yourself that God is creating. The beginning is the moment you stop mourning the old you and start embracing the new you. The beginning is the moment you stop apologizing for the boundaries that protect your peace. The beginning is the moment you stop shrinking yourself to make other people feel comfortable. The beginning is the moment you stop auditioning for a life that was never meant for you. The beginning is the moment you start walking into the life that was always meant for you, with your head held high, with your heart wide open, with your spirit aligned with the God who has been waiting patiently, lovingly, faithfully for this exact moment. This is your moment, chosen one. Not because of anything you did, not because of how hard you worked, not because of how much you suffered, but because of who you are in Him. And who you are in Him is unshakable, and what is coming for you is unstoppable. And the people who wish you were angry are about to watch you walk into a season that makes everything they did look like a distant memory. And they are going to be forced to admit, even if only to themselves, even if only in the quiet hours of the night, that the person they tried to break is the person who is now standing taller, shining brighter, and living closer to their purpose than they have ever been. And that admission is going to be the beginning of a reckoning inside them that no one else can interrupt. That reckoning is between them and God. That reckoning is between them and their own soul. And you are not invited to that conversation. You are not invited to that process. You are not invited to that healing. That healing is theirs to pursue, and theirs to resist, and theirs to delay, and theirs to finally, maybe one day, embrace. But that is not your timeline. That is not your journey.